Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like I haven't gotten the chance to do anything in terms of performance, so
yeah,
I, I mean, I'm not gonna get the chance. So
yeah. I don't know. I just uh have a
yeah,
lot of things that I want to get done immediately, and there's no way that we have the manpower to do that. So yeah. TLDR, nothing's changed. I'm just feeling like more overwhelmed than I have before.
mm.
I
Anyway, I
mean,
just wanted to share that.
yeah, this week has been pretty bad. In general, I will say that I'm on the exact opposite of the spectrum of the pace of change. I'm absolutely scared by how fast things are moving and how much we will break everything because reverting to stable ways will break a lot of silent assumptions we made with infra, probably. And some we might have caught, some we probably did not, and those will come out, I assume, because I obviously always assume the worst case. Uh, so I don't actually think we need to probably uh just go out now and say, okay, we will wipe scores. But if you ask me right now, I'd say the chance of having to do so, I'd say is like 70 to 80%. I just don't have confidence in our systems holding up with everything changing this fast.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's kind of a per rule set thing as well. Like, I think there's a higher chance of us needing to reset Mania, for instance. I just don't know about the scoring decisions we've made there, and us, and yeah, I don't. The other two have been quiet, but maybe that's just because they have a quieter player base.
I mean, Catch has been like pretty much, I don't want to say dead, but I just said dead. So,
Yeah,
and Tycho is a mess. Like, I don't even want to get into the broken resolution shit again because it's just like I cannot. But like, apparently, slider velocity is just completely broken, and at this point, I think those people might just be refusing to touch the game anymore. I don't know.
By side of velocity, they're just talking about the scroll rate.
yeah.
It's not actually like there's nothing like wrong with conversion or anything. It's just scroll rate.
I swear we got everything in a perfect state, like pixel perfect comparisons for Tycho, and now it doesn't seem to be the case.
No, well, it's never the case for non-classic mod.
Well, yeah, I've said that to people, and they said classic is still wrong. One
Oh,
thing that might cause all of this is that somewhere along in the whatever control point changes, we inadvertently made it so that SVs are rounded to 0.01 increments, which might have just broken a lot of things.
mm.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's the whole issue. Anyway, that requires further investigation. Yeah.
But to stop Doom talking for a second, like in the immediate vicinity, I think we should focus on getting the pieces in place to actually deploy anything
Yep.
and making changes that absolutely positively need to be made before that has to happen. And the rest, I don't know. I guess we can figure out if we want to pull the lever at the end of the month, if push comes to shove.
Yes, and for me, the remaining pieces. I mean, all the stuff in the project, I think right now is still important. Like even the Tycho stuff, I think we need to visit that before the end of the month. Uh, Even if it's just to check how fucked stuff is, so we can decide whether we want to address it or not. The Tycho stuff, obviously, it doesn't affect scores. It may affect the game balance slightly, but it's not the end of the world. Maybe it is. I don't know. But yeah, apart from that, infrastructure is all I'm going to be working on basically. Apart from one last change I want to make, which is fixing the slider end addition I did. Apparently, classic skins don't always scale it down correctly, so I'm going to fix that. But Yeah, from an infrastructure side, I'm pulling all stops and figuring a way I can get this score import done in time. Hopefully completed in time. Otherwise, resorting to other methods like importing scores when a user sets a play for that user, which is going to get a bit clusterfuck. So hopefully we don't have to go down that path. Yeah, and just I realized I didn't do much work on getting the production database up to scratch, like having enough disk space and whatnot for the new tables. So I'm currently figuring that situation out. Worst case, I just store all the new tables on block storage and call it a day. But yeah,
Are we done doing UI UX work? The song select
Yeah.
stuff from yesterday. Are we done with that?
yeah, done with that.
Okay,
That was a 20-minute change.
that turned out to be a whole day's worth of work.
Oh no, that was a bug. That was a regression. That wasn't the actual UI stuff. That was the carousel doing weird shit. But yeah, that's if we can ignore that flaky test where the fucking flaky test flag isn't even fixed. I don't know if that flaky test flag actually works at all. Like I've confirmed it works, but I don't know if it works still. It feels like it just doesn't.
I feel like I've mentioned that before, but
It definitely works on Team. Wait, no, it's disabled on Team City. But I've got there's a test covering the fact that it works. It does work. There's a framework level test covering it. Anyway, yeah, there's one failing test at song select. So if we can all agree to just add the ignore to that, and I'll fix it next year, then I'm going to do that because I feel like it's just a realm batching thing, and I don't really want to even investigate it at this point.
well, I mean, if it's a regression from something we've done, then I would.
It's only a test regression. I doubt
Okay.
it can be reproduced by a user.
Okay.
And I don't even know if the original test, like TLDR, there's code in song select which requires any beatmap updates to have the deletion and the insertion in the same realm batch, and I don't think that's always happening, or I think in some cases there's more in that batch. The test is importing like 10 maps in between doing the test for selection being retained, and I think one of those imported maps is affecting things in a weird way. Cool. Well, I'm just going to ignore that test. The one other thing I'm doing right now is, well, I've already done it. I just need to add test coverage, is adding the versioning of score info locally, as we discussed yesterday. That was a very simple one. And I'm just storing that as a string. Hopefully that's acceptable. Just the full build string.
Yeah, I just don't spend too much time on it. Like,
It's already done.
okay.
It's like 10 lines.
Yeah, honestly, I'm so done with score conversion stuff that I really couldn't give a fuck right now about like converting old scores from different versions and score v2 stable, score v2 and score v2, score v1 and old standardized.
This isn't converting though. This is just like, as we discussed yesterday, if we need to hide scores, this is going to be used for that.
I mean, again, like at that point, I wouldn't even worry about it. Like from that perspective, I would just, at the point where we need to do that, like absolutely need to do it, I would just go through the database, mark every single score, implement the feature, and then done. Like,
but we're missing data for every score to date.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Like at the point where that's what I would do, like going forward.
Okay, well, it's already done. So the only thing I haven't added is I'd probably just add a version for like legacy imports. Like do we even need that? The version of us where the legacy score is imported. Do you think it should have the version or just have a null?
Look, if you're asking me that, I think you're thinking too much about it.
Okay, it's just gonna be null then. Okay, I think that's all then. Like, if you see me make a single PR for anything UI or UX that isn't the things I listed, like the two things I mentioned today, then just like close it. Yeah. Oh, the other thing I'll mention is I do want to make another UI change, which is before we do this release at the end of the year, I do want to add an information screen when the game loads, even if it's just like a pop-up of the wiki to a specific page where we can update people on like what all the caveats of the laser ranking implementation, and just letting people know what to expect, and anything about a score reset if we decide to mention that, just so it's like forced. I don't know. I'd even make like a dialogue where the user has to press like I accept before the game starts or something. Just something to show on the initial load, even if it shows every load while this is going on.
To accept what? Just
That things are in a beta.
Sure. I mean, I guess that's what like we kind of had the disclaimer from, but yeah.
Well, and explaining things so we don't get the 100 questions being like, why is rate adjust not working for PP and stuff like that. You know, any of the caveats that we need to list.
Yeah.
Giving people a place to redirect their feedback, you know. I feel like we're going to get we're already like the amount of feedback we get on this stuff is insane, and we don't even have like the main part of the user base. Once we push this, I feel like it's going to be absolutely impossible to deal with. Like literally, we close like 10 GitHub issues a day, and there's like 100 new ones a day right now. It's insane. Not 100, maybe more like 40, but yeah.
Okay, so like short term, you have this infrastructure deployment tasks list. That's huge, but is there something that you would say needs or would benefit from delegating, or do you want to just solo it front to back?
Let me just read through them. How I don't know anything about this failed solo score handling thing. Is that important, or can we deal with that later?
Well, I mean, what's happening there is that Laser is submitting scores with F rank right now, and they are getting fixed up website to display D instead.
Okay, so it's still being sorted to the database as an F?
No, it started the database as a D.
Ah. And that's
It's
because
not
OSWeb doesn't handle F?
correct.
Right. Is and do we have like a passed flag separately that we can recover from?
I think so.
Oh, but what's
I
this?
will
This
check.
should potentially be validation rather than applying this logic here. But older laser versions potentially submit incorrect detail. What?
Well, the
Oh, that
this
is checked in
entire
the
code
past.
block it even predates the addition of F. F wasn't a thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if it's based on the pass flag, then I think we can recover that. So maybe we'll move it out of the project for now and reconsider later.
Yeah, I'm removing it then.
Just give it like a. Is this us website? Yeah. Give it a
Yes.
priority 1. I'll add it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The method for cleaning up non-high scores. So that's like partitioning is in place, which does this. The only issue remaining there is that like replays are we're still uploading replays for failed scores, aren't we? Or did we change that?
I don't actually know, but I think we might have changed that.
Okay, so if we're not uploading replays for failed scores, then this item is actually something I'm going to delay until next year. I'm not running any of the scripts which set preserve from 1 to 0. Everything we have supports scores remaining in the preserve 1 state, like PP calculation and whatnot. It'll still work correctly. It's just that we're going to be left with more data short term, and we can run that cleanup at any point. So this is actually a low priority task and doesn't need to happen for this year.
Okay.
That said, like it's mostly already done. The command does exist. I just don't want to have to run it as one extra thing to make sure it's working. So TLDR, like all scores set in laser going forward are going to, as they have been until now, just remain in a preserve equals 1 state, and we'll deal with them later. We'll deal with cleaning them up later.
Sure. So move out of project for now.
Yes. Move out of project, leave it assigned to me, and we'll deal with it afterwards.
And there's another thing is infrastructure deployment task for path to ranking, which has an entire checklist, which also includes cleaning up on high scores in the checklist.
So everything in this checklist is stuff which I have covered, except for maybe the profiling of server spectator, the optimizing of server spectator, because that's gonna, well, I don't know how to get profiling data from Kubernetes, so whether we deploy it separately and profile it that way, or figure out how to run .NET profiling from inside Kubernetes, that is something I can delegate. I can give you access to Kubernetes if you want to give that a try, or if anyone who wants to give it a try.
I mean, yeah, but maybe I'd want to start with staging first, or like the dev instance, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna have a good idea what I'm gonna be doing. It's not something I've ever done before.
Right. Yeah, well, it's mostly just about getting the dump. And I mean, I can take over. I say that as if you don't know how to profile, and you do. So yeah, I think everyone would be in the same boat with not knowing what the fuck to do to get the dump out of Kubernetes. But there's .NET CLI tooling that does this stuff these days, so in theory.
That would have been the first things I would think I would try, yeah. So
Also, like I think .trace can attach to a remote session if you have stuff set up correctly. Attached to a remote application. But yeah, and I think we're gonna have to do that on a live instance, because I'm not sure we're gonna get any kind of useful profiling data out of running it locally or running it on staging even.
Oh, absolutely.
This is about server spectator, yeah?
Yeah. Yep. So if Spaceman, if you're running out of things to do and want to look into that, then I think it would be valuable, because I know it's using like 10 cores right now of Kubernetes, and if we get a spike in users, that's going to go up and maybe a point of failure.
Right. I have some reviews queued, but after that, not much else important. So I might try locally for a first to see if I can even figure out how to get a dump from CLI and see if it's gonna work on Linux and so on. And if I get anywhere, then I'll let you know, and we can try that on staging first, maybe then production.
Yep. I'll just go straight to production, but I'll give you a box telling you it's staging and it's actually production. So I have done this before with Bancho, so it's definitely possible to attach to a live instance using the .NET CLI stuff. You'll just need to figure out what's involved. I may have some notes on that, so I'll double check if I have anything that may help. But yeah, I've done it before in Banjo, and I've done it on live production without causing too much overhead, so it's feasible.
All right.
Yeah, apart like everything else on this list is what I'm currently working through, so that's I'll keep you guys updated on where things are. But I don't think there's much else to say there. Some of these tasks are waiting on. I mean, the score import, I'm still kind of waiting on like the thing which you're probably reviewing right now, which is the changes Moogie made to fix the regressions from the thing yesterday that we made.
Yeah, that is the absolute first on my
Yep.
list.
Yeah, so there's that, and then there's a few things which I'm waiting on OSWeb to get deployed. Another thing where I'm not too sure whether I should focus on or not is two-factor authentication. It's been ready for me to implement the API since yesterday, but I'm not confident I can get that in it by the end of the year. So I don't know. Thoughts on that? Should we just postpone?
I mean, if anti-cheat goes live, we don't need it anyway, right?
Well, two-factor is a kind of different thing to anti-cheat.
Yeah, but at least scores will still be. Yeah, I suppose.
Trying to think what's the worst that could happen if we don't do it. And I guess the worst thing that could happen is like it makes maybe multi-accounting a little easier, I guess.
I think the worst thing that could happen is someone, like until now, we've had very good coverage of accounts which are compromised, like password compromised,
Oh, right.
where people will steal an account and then do stupid shit on it. That said, the scope is limited if it's only laser, as it has been until now, which is that they can only set scores and favorite maps and a few odd things. I say that, but it's basically anything on the API, isn't it? Because they could just do raw API calls after they authorize. Anyway,
Yeah,
it's
if you
been that
need to
way
set it up.
since until now, and we haven't hit many issues, so I don't think not having it in an extra month or extra few weeks is going to be an issue, so I might just postpone that.
Let's keep it for now, but just deprioritize.
Yeah, deprioritize to the lowest priority. I guess it's no longer in review either because it needs some more work from my end, so let's just set it back to needs implementation for now.
Okay, so the rest of the things we have is mania ranks, which we said maybe isn't that critical for now. Spinners not maxing out before and which it's not simple. So probably not. Audio timing. I don't know even.
Nope. I mean, anything else should be prioritized before that.
HP drain. Tycho broken.
HP drain, I think we need to address in some way. There's been so much, like, it's one of the major things that people are discussing. It's half the people like it's too lenient, half the people like it's too hard. And I think Smoogie already knows that that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I don't know. We've tried everything, including going back to stable health, and it's still bad apparently. I just don't even know.
Smoogie, what would you say about switching back to the classic algorithm, but like de-weighting it by a linear amount, just to take the edge off?
Just the way. I mean, like, what are you trying to resolve here?
The fact that did you see that last feedback I posted in the thread? Basically, like, people being like, the game is a joke now. I can pass 8-star maps when I can only usually pass 4-star maps because HP is just so low on them that it doesn't mean anything.
I mean,
But there are also issues like, oh, it's too punishing sometimes now.
So I'm just
I
wondering if,
don't
like,
know.
as a stopgap measure, we can set it back to the classic because we know that that is what people expect roughly, uh, in terms of relative drain based on the beat map, right? So if we can change it back to that and just like set a constant multiplier to make it, 10, 20% more lenient to fix the case that you were like, well, it feels harsher than it should be across most maps because of the mechanic changes or whatever.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe you can test that better than I can because you know what you're looking for. So maybe just give it a test, like see if you can find a multiplier which makes it feel okay, and we'll just go with that. I don't think it deserves too much time or too much review. Even I think it's a call that you can make yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose.
Yeah. So TLDR, I think we do need to
Like,
make
there's
some
still going to be
changes.
people complaining either way, right? You
Well, yeah,
understand
the
that,
people
right?
That much is a given. Yeah.
the people that started on laser end were used to the lenient drain are going to be the ones most complaining, right?
I suppose. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I have to try it out, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's like one more task. I don't know. I, I don't know if it really matters. Like, at the end of the day, all those scores that are quote unquote too lenient, we can recalculate, right? Like,
Yeah.
I
From that
don't.
perspective, it's fine. It's more just based on, because I've read through all the feedback we've got, right? I probably shouldn't be, but I have. And just based on what I'm seeing people complain about the most, I know that it's going to be one of the most common things that comes up, and one of the things that people like potentially turns people off the game or laser or whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, I feel like having it use the stable algorithm and maybe being a bit on the harsh side is better than making it silly in some maps. Silly easy, I mean.
Okay, so at what point does it stop? Can I ask you that then? Like, I make the change and I go through it, and then it turns out to still be bad, and people are still complaining. What's the stopping point? Like, how do you know when it's okay to go with?
I just think we need to get things in a place where we don't have these extreme edge cases on both sides of the spectrum, and I think the classic algorithm does better at that than what we have right now. That's my only thinking. And where does it stop? I don't know. That's going to be up to future discussions. I just want to lock something in right now before the end of the year, just to have something that is roughly, I don't know, where you can be happy with it. Are you happy with the current laser? Like, just read through the few pieces of feedback I linked in that thread, and if you're happy with what people are saying, then we can just go with what we have. But I think that what I propose might be a bit better.
Honestly, health is one thing that we can tweak almost at will and not have to worry about infrastructural concerns. So what I would probably do, if you ask me to, is try that plan with classic scaled back a little bit, see if it's sort of answers the concerns, then push it out and see what happens in the next week or two.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be okay with making the change now and then not making another change for a month and just getting like feedback over a longer period of time. It's just about getting an initial expectations out.
Like between having an entirely new health system and an existing one that maybe is just a little off because weightings have changed or whatever. The second seems like a slightly safer bet.
Yeah, I mean, I can try to make a change and see how it goes, but like, I really don't want to spend a lot of time on it. Like,
No, I'm not saying this.
I get it, but I don't want to go like make a change. Oh, it's still bad. Make a change. Oh, it's still bad. And then because people are going to be playing classic, it's going to be like, oh, let's actually push it to non-classic so that people actually test it out, and then people find it's bad, and then make another change there. And it's like,
Oh, I'm saying we should push it out to non-classic, by the way.
sure.
In case, yeah. You understood that, right?
Yeah, I understand your point. Yeah.
Yeah. I would
Even so, I
just,
still don't want to make like it's going to be a one change and like a one
Yeah.
change before release. It's not going to be like
yeah.
I'm not going to be
completely happy
tweaking
with
it
that.
anymore. That's like my one
Yeah.
condition.
Limit yourself to like 30 minutes or an hour. Go through the maps that guy pointed out because they seem like very egregious edge cases, and just tweak them until you're happy, and we'll call it there. I'm not even going to review it. It's like up to you to choose a number, choose an algorithm, choose a number.
All right.
Anyway, I think that's everything on the game balance. The Tycho stuff I definitely think needs looking into. So whoever gets to that first, I guess. Smoogy's looking at anti-cheat still, I think. Is that still your current focus?
Yeah. As long as nothing else comes up, like the mania stuff or the tiger stuff or the health stuff or everything else.
No, I think everything else we're locked in now. I would have liked to make the grade changes, but as you say, there's a bit to do there, so we can just add that to the disclaimer, the info sheet being like, these are the plans for the near future, and it's not going to affect scores. Will be applied retroactively.
We'll see how it goes.
Yep. And the final UX issue on there, figure out how to show classic scores and laser scores. I don't know. We can leave this open, but we kind of already have them working, so it's going to be deployed in that state unless there's any bright ideas. Yeah. Like depending on what happens Osweb side as well, we're just going to have to play it by ear with the like Osweb is going to have a toggle between the classic and laser included leaderboards. I don't think the laser client is going to have the option to switch between those. Too much involved. And I don't think we would want to display classic only leaderboards in laser, at least not short term. So it is what it is. We'll go live with that.
Now that you bring it up, are we using the staging domain anywhere in client? I forget.
As in
Because if we are, we
laser.
should probably, yeah. If we are, we should probably stop doing so because I assume that's getting dead, right? Or it won't even be accurate anymore.
Yes, but I think it's too early to switch over. I don't think it'll work.
I mean, yeah, but we have to still plan for it, right?
Yeah.
I assume it's not gonna be just a throw on production again, like go back to OS instead of laser, and it'll just work.
It should, but I think like for the deploy, we might try and map or like deploy the new version, the final version on the laser private staging domain, just so we don't need to update the client and force everyone to update. It can just work on the old release. We'll see how it goes anyway, but that is an option. We can deploy any branch to that private staging, or we can just turn it off and update the client to point to os.py.
I mean, I guess a lot of depends on how you see the toggle working.
Yes, so the toggle is going to be deployed on the main website. The laser.ppo.sh is either going to cease to exist or it's going to continue to show laser scores to date. As in, it's still going to be on the old version, accessing the old tables.
Right, but assuming the
Right.
main website is getting the toggle, we are
Yes.
consuming API.
Yes.
But existing API clients should probably not start seeing laser data, or are they going to start seeing laser data on the
I think
endpoints
that doesn't really matter. Whichever happens, really.
I think we're gonna have a lot of pissed off people seeing their integrations break if we just do that, but sure.
If we start showing laser scores.
I mean, yeah, then there's more stuff involved, like classic mod is gonna start appearing on the old scores as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, people's integrations can be fixed. I don't think that's something we're gonna cater to. The idea is that we do a hard switch on OSWeb to the new tables, assuming the scores are in there, and everything works as it was, except for maybe, as you say, third-party APIs, which may be getting slightly different data or slightly unexpected data. I don't know. We'll play that by ear.
What's the
Okay.
final way we're going with for scores? We are importing everything, yeah? We're not like doing the whole let's import only on.
I fucking hope so.
Okay. I mean, hope that would be decided at this point.
I have no other plans, so if anything else if it's going to change, then the work is going to be done from now onwards. As soon as I get this import started, which I hope to do like 2 days ago, if it doesn't start today, then I have questions.
I mean, I have questions if it doesn't start today, but yeah, okay.
Yep.
Guess no pressure for reviewing then.
Yeah, so without that change that's in review, we're still fine to go with Tycho and Catch?
No. Awesome catch.
Awesome Catch.
Tycho is currently
Tycho
broken
is
and
yeah,
Mania is
okay.
currently broken.
Okay, cool. So I'll focus on those two first. I was basically about to start the import process when we had this call, so yeah.
Okay. Shall we then? I think it has been enough talking.
Yep. Thanks. It was good to go through stuff. I feel better.
All right.
Sounds good.
Until next time.
Till next time.
See ya.